The geniuses over at CNN had a conversation on how to cover Donald Trump, and it's safe to say that Trump has left them totally baffled and utterly clueless. So look at how lost they are in the weeds in this conversation. Check it out.
Listen, I'm not a news executive, but if I were, I would say I would not cover his tweets.
So I disagree.
I would be very judicious about the tweets I cover.
I agree with you, by the way.
You do?
Yes, I
cover them at all. You wouldn't cover them at all because that is his way of communicating.
Well, no. If I'm in
your
chair,
if
I'm in your chair, I cover the tweets.
Well, you have to.
From my chair, they come through my Twitter stream, and I do not touch them anymore.
But I think that I wouldn't because unless I hear it from his mouth at a press conference or a representative, then I would not take it as gospel. I wouldn't cover it.
So Don's thinking is if he's, and correct me if I'm wrong, if he doesn't speak directly to us, then if he is ignored, essentially, the tweets, then he will have a press conference.
Of course he will. He hates being ignored. He likes seeing him. Come on.
Here's the general sense I get from that. The CNN anchors, on some level, know how terrible they are at their job. They know that they suck. They know that Donald Trump is a buffoon who should have been stopped. And they also probably know on some level that the way they covered him all along, every step of the way, contributed to his rise and contributed to him being viewed in a more positive sense. So they know that, and they're struggling with that. They don't know exactly what to do with that information and how to proceed. And what results is a funny conversation like you just saw, where it almost feels more like they're talking about Donald Trump like he's their boyfriend. Like, Donald Trump is the significant other of every CNN host, and they're like, well, should we stalk his Twitter account or should we not stalk his Twitter account? I don't know, but I think he's up to no good. I think he's up to doing something. Well, I think you should ignore him because if you ignore him and then he comes back, well, I mean, that's what'll happen. He can't stand being ignored. So if you don't cover the tweets, then maybe he'll do a press conference. And if he does a press conference, then maybe we can cover him in a very responsible way. What are you saying? Okay, here's how you do it. He's the fucking president-elect of the United States of America. If he says something newsworthy in a tweet, of course you cover it. If he lets you know, hey, here's the direction I'm going to take policy, of course you cover it. What you don't cover are the tweets that are nonsense and meaningless and not about policy and just him getting into a random feud with fucking Carrot Top or somebody else on Twitter, which he's known to do. So that's the breakdown. If it's a tweet that's not newsworthy and it's shit that's like TMZ level garbage, well, then obviously you don't cover it. But if it's something policy-related, yes, you cover it. He's going to be president of the United States. What are you going to do, give him the cold shoulder? Like, that doesn't make any sense. He's going to be the president. But they don't know. And this goes back, my main thesis on the idiots at CNN. They don't know what they're doing. All they do is read the prompter. It's like Ron Burgundy. He'll read anything you put in the prompter. So they don't know enough about the world we live in and about politics and about all the things, economics, all the things they should know about. So you have to fill the dead air with something. And they fill it with false equivalence, so fake neutrality, where they give the Democrats and the Republicans equal credit, 50-50 all the time, establishment talking points, and sensationalism. That's all they got. They don't know dick about policy. They can't do real policy analysis. And they can't explain to the American people, hey, this is something that's going to hurt you. This is something that's going to help you. Hey, that's corruption. Hey, let's call out the people in power. Let's try to get a government that's responsive to the needs of the American people. They don't know how to do that. So what do you get? You get what you just saw. You get Don Lemon and a bunch of CNN idiots sitting around going, oh, should we cover his tweets? I don't know. Should we cover his tweets? That's a good question. Let's think about it. Let's talk about it for 5 fucking minutes and figure out what to do. And you see it. I mean, you can see Don Lemon's like, well, what if we don't cover it? Then he's forced to have a press conference. Okay, so should he have a press conference? Yes. But does that mean, like, what, you don't cover him until he has a press conference in order to try to make him do a press conference? No, because whatever he says in the press conference is going to be just as fucking incoherent and disgusting as whatever shit he'd say on his Twitter account. It's going to be the same garbage. He was just tweeting today about how Israel's been left behind by America, and that's wrong, and that's not okay. And what do you think he's going to say in a press conference? He's going to say the same kind of nonsense. So cover it. Yes, you can cover it if it's policy related, if it's related to what he's going to do in office. But that's the thing is, CNN, they they walked right into this trap because during the primary and then during the general, they managed to cover all the wrong stories about Donald Trump. All the wrong stories. So the one that always sticks out in my mind is the naughty language. How they've done segments where, they show other Republicans hammering Trump because he says naughty things. And I thought, you're only helping the guy. That is not the reason why you should dislike Trump, because he says fuck and he says shit and he talks like a normal human being. No, the reason you should dislike Trump is because he said, hey, we should take out their families. The terrorists' families. Okay, that would make him a terrorist. I think that deserves a little bit more coverage. What do you think? You talk about how he repeatedly said, I'm going to torture, quote, even if it doesn't work. How he wants to pull out of the Geneva Conventions. How he said we should lower wages. I mean, these are things that deserve endless amounts of coverage, but that didn't get the coverage. What got the coverage was anytime he used naughty language or, he said, Jeb's a puppet to his donors, and they would say, he's breached decorum. How dare he breach decorum on stage with such honorable gentlemen? No, but that's the stuff that's actually good about him. So when you cover the stuff that's good about him as if it's bad, people go, well, maybe he's not so bad. And all the actual shitty stuff, you got nothing to say because it's policy related. So that's the downside, is that these guys are lost, man. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to, it's like the resistance thing. You have Think Progress, which is just a Democratic partisan hack organization at this point, which is sad because at one time I thought they did decent work. You have Keith Olbermann, the resistance he has as his Twitter handle, and in the little picture written above his head, and he's wearing the flag like, oh yes, I'm the resistance. And then you go see what he's saying about Trump. It's all, Vladimir Putin is now the president of the United States. He's got a puppet in Donald Trump, and he's going to do whatever he wants. This is a hostile takeover, and this is a declaration of war. That's your resistance? Your resistance is red baiting. Your resistance is fear-mongering about Russia. Your resistance is something that no grandma in Cleveland sitting around going, I can't afford to put food on the fucking table, but goddamn Vladimir Putin. No, they're worried about things that affect their lives. They're worried about policy. They're worried about, how they can pay the bills. And your ass is lost in the wilderness talking about Vladimir Putin and a declaration of war, and the Kremlin is now in Washington, D.C. What the fuck are you saying? That resistance ain't gonna work, bitch. But that's the sense I get. You watch CNN, you watch, Keith Olbermann, you watch partisan Democrats. That's all they're doing. They don't know how to attack him. They don't know how to attack him because they never really cared about policy. So now it's all, I swear to you, there was Judd Legum, one of the guys from Think Progress, tweeted the other day, the real story of what happened with Ivanka Trump on the plane. Because there was some douchebag who apparently, was like, your father's ruining the country, and she felt threatened or whatever, so they kicked this guy off the plane. They really are so hacky that they decided, we need to do a piece about this, and we need to show the other side of it. We need to show the side of the guy who was, allegedly threatening her or made her feel unsafe. Just because he's Donald Trump and just because she's Ivanka Trump doesn't mean that literally everything they've ever done and ever said needs to be, you need to be against it. And if you do that, it's boy who cried wolf. People are going to roll their eyes when there are real things to go after Donald Trump for. When there's real arguments against him. Oh my God, he fucking just appointed Goldman Sachs to somebody from Goldman for the Treasury Secretary. That is insanity. But you were busy crying wolf, so now people look at that and they go, who knows, maybe he's qualified. So you got to focus on the right things, and if you don't focus on the right things, you're helping him, you're not hurting him. So this conversation about, should we cover his tweets? I don't know. Should he do a press conference? Oh, you just look like a bunch of butthurt significant others who are trying to figure out how to handle their unruly boyfriend. It's almost mission accomplished for exactly what he wanted.